Hello, my name is Gabby and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, then welcome to my channel, and today's video is going to be my Spring 2023 TBR. I didn't think that I was going to make this video for a minute because I had no idea what I wanted to read in the spring, or what I was even looking for, but then I realized I had a really good group of books last spring that really did define my reading life for that season. And a lot of those books have sequels, so why not also make a TBR that feels like a sequel in that sense? With also a couple of random additions that I threw in for fun. So with that, the content warnings for everything that I talk about today will be linked down below in the description. We are going to go in alphabetical order, and let's go ahead and get into it. The first book on this TBR is going to be Bitter by Akwaeke Emezi, which is the prequel to Pet. Pet takes place in the city of Lucille, where monsters no longer exist, or at least that's what our main character Jam, along with the other children in the city, have been told. But when a creature emerges from her mother's painting to hunt down a monster who lives in the city, Jam has to reconsider all that she has known regarding monsters and her city. I had originally read Pet for a children's lit class that I took during my last semester of college last spring, and since I don't typically do anything fun with the books that I'm required to read, I wanted to do a reread of Pet outside of that scenario. And I finally did go ahead and do that reread. Which brings me to Bitter. As much as I did really enjoy my time with Pet during both of my reads of it, I did feel like I wanted more development in certain areas, and I think Bitter is really going to help with that. And I also think that Pet kind of teased this story a little bit, so I am very much looking forward to reading this and seeing what it has to offer. Next up is Novel 2 of the Bloom Into You light novels by Hitoma Iruma, which is the sequel to Novel 1 of the Bloom Into You light novels. This is a spin-off of the Bloom Into You manga series, and it follows one of the characters in the main series. She is more serious and cares more about studying than socializing. That is until a romantic confession from another girl in middle school turns her life upside down. And this follows her as she navigates her first love and comes to terms with her sexuality. It's very coming of age. My first encounter with this series was actually through the light novels, and then I went and read volume 1 of the manga, and because I really enjoyed the first novel, I went ahead and hauled the second and third volumes of it. I also did want to haul more of the manga volumes, but they are pretty hard to get a hold of, so I'm just going to move forward with the spin-off. I really love our main character in these novels, so I'm definitely looking forward to reading more of her perspective, and I'm also just looking forward to seeing where her story goes. I haven't seen the anime yet either, because I originally wanted to read the light novels and read the manga before watching the anime, but we'll see what happens. This is definitely a series that I want to dive into as much as I can though, because not only have I heard amazing things about it, but I've read amazing things from it myself. Next up is Foul Lady Fortune by Chloe Gong, which is the third book in the Secret Shanghai universe, the first of those books being These Violent Delights. These Violent Delights is a Romeo and Juliet retelling that is set in 1920 Shanghai. There are rival gangs and a monster, and our main character has to team up with her first love, who is also her first betrayal, and together they have to set aside their guns and their grudges in order to stop all of the mayhem. And there is a lot of mayhem. I don't know if I can put into words just how excited I am that there are more books in this universe. This series is definitely one of my favorite series that I have ever read. So even though I did not read either These Violent Delights or the sequel, Our Violent Ends, in the spring, there's no way I'm not going to read this book within the next few months. I want more of these characters. I want more of the writing style and just this author in general. I'm also very excited for the romance in here because the romances in the first duology were amazing, and this one also sounds like just a ton of fun. This universe is slowly but surely taking over my entire reading life, which does feel very correct. Okay, next up is King and the Dragonflies by Kacen Callender. This follows our main character who is 12 years old and lives in a small Louisiana town. The story takes place when his older brother dies, and he is sure that his brother has turned into a dragonfly and still visits him in his dreams. And this is something that he keeps to himself as he watches how grief transforms his parents. And we follow our main main character as he navigates his life after this and discovers that there is no correct way for him to be himself. So this was another required read that I had for that class that I mentioned earlier. It's actually the one that inspired my rereads of these two books in the first place, because it's written by Kacen Callender, and Kacen Callender wrote that book up there. And that book is one of my favorite books ever. It actually has been either a full year, a little bit over, or close to a full year of my first read through of this book. And I'm really interested in reading this after having taken that class and having class discussion and discussion board posts, etc. about this book, because I do feel like having that experience really did add positively to my reread of Pet, so I am definitely hoping for a similar result here, especially since this is a Kacen Callender book, and as a general rule, I've never rated or reviewed anything that was required for me to read, but if I did do those things, this probably would have been a 5-star read, and I want to officially give it that rating, so it's in this TBR. Next up is Muse of Nightmares by Laini Taylor, which is the sequel to Strange to Dreamer. This follows our main character who has been obsessed with the lost city of Weep since he was 5 years old, but he believes that he is not the correct person for this dream to have chosen, as he thinks that he is not bold enough. However, when a legendary godslayer and warriors present him with the opportunity, he finds himself with the chance to either seize his dream or lose it forever. I wasn't a huge fan of the way Strange to Dreamer ended, and I am very concerned about that and what it means for my relationship with this book. But before that ending, there was a lot that I really did fall in love with about Strange to Dreamer, including the atmosphere, the writing style, the character, and the world building. And when I think about last spring, Strange to Dreamer is one of the first, if not the first book that always comes to my mind. And I especially think about those aspects of the book that I just listed, so regardless of where the story may or may not be going, I know that I will at least have those. I'm very excited for this next one because this next one is The Dragon's Promise by Elizabeth Lim, which is the sequel to Six Crimson Cranes. Six Crimson Cranes follows our main character Shiori, who has a secret forbidden magic. Before her betrothal ceremony, she accidentally loses control over this magic, and although she has successfully stalled the wedding that she does not want, she draws the attention of her sorceress stepmother. Six Crimson Cranes was very nearly my favorite book that I read last year out of all of the books that I read last year. I thought that it was such an atmospheric and just beautiful story, and I love how those things paired with like the nice spring weather. I loved our main character and her character growth throughout her journey, and I think that her journey is going to go to some incredibly interesting places. This series has so many things that I'm interested in, and since reading Six Crimson Cranes, I have read Spin the Dawn and also Unravel the Dust, and I do wonder if having read those two books is going to impact my understanding of the events in these two books at all, since the events of Spin the Dawn and Unravel the Dust do technically take place after these two books. And if they do end up impacting my experience, I just hope that it is positive, because I will be crushed to the deepest depths of my core if I do not love this book. And the last book on this TBR is The Gilded Ones by Namina Forna. This takes place in a world where the girls undergo a blood ceremony that determines whether or not that they will be cast out of the village. During that ceremony, our main character's blood runs gold, which is considered to be the color of impurity. A mysterious woman then comes to her and offers her that she can either stay and submit to her fate, or come with her and fight for the Emperor with girls who are just like her, as they are the only army who is going to be able to stop the Empire's greatest threat. This was a part of my 2023 TBR and also my March TBR, but I unfortunately didn't get to it in March. But this is probably my next read at the time I'm filming this. Like, I haven't started it yet, but it's basically my current read right now. And I'm excited for it to be my current read because I've heard really amazing things about this book, and everything that I've ever known about this story has only really intrigued me. And I'm also feeling very drawn to this yellow that is on the spine. It feels very spring-like to me, and because of that, it feels like it belongs in this video, so it is. Okay, so that is it for my spring TBR. Thank you all so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, and answer the question that'll be around here if you want to do that, and hopefully I will see you here next time. Bye!